So there's this question that's been floating around the internet, specifically on multiple sites like Twitter, TikTok, etc., called the red button versus blue button debate. Everybody in the world is taking a private vote with two buttons directly in front of you. The blue button states that everybody would survive, but only if 50% or more people press the blue button, whereas if you press the red button, only you would survive. Now, if you're like me and the majority of people who had read this question with even a little bit of care, you would pick the red button almost every single time. The problem with this question, why it's so tricky, is because it's framed as a morality question, and you seem like a bad person if you don't press the blue button. At least that's what the people that press the blue button say. There are people that try and relate the red button, blue button scenario into other hypotheticals to try and push that point, but the problem with those is that they don't seem to grasp the original problem's concept. Like, I remember I saw another hypothetical of someone saying they related it to a train scenario. Let's say a train is coming at something miles per hour. You can either stay on the side and not get hit by the train, or if the majority of people in the group jump onto the train tracks, the train will stop. What would you do? The main problems with this is that, for one, it removes all anonymity of the problem. The first statement or the first words that are said in the problem is that everybody is taking a private vote. In the train scenario, there is no privacy or anonymity in this vote. You either jump in front of the train tracks or you don't. If no one jumps in front of the train tracks, everyone sees that no one jumps in the train tracks, and therefore no one's gonna jump in the train tracks. The second problem with this statement is that it is very evident on what you should do. You don't have to jump in front of the train. Whereas in the red button versus blue button debate, the way how it's framed and the way how both questions are asked, the blue button seems like the correct option here. Now, I've heard a lot of people who press the blue button and their reasoning on it, and I want to go over some of them because in my mind, I just don't really understand why you would press the blue button. And if you listen to these questions or these things very, very closely, you'll understand a relying common problem with all of these questions. So the first argument I've seen is that there's no way that 100 people would press the red button. That is true. I don't think anybody would 100% press either button. Now, before I say what I'm about to say, I checked the original poll, and it said that around 56% of the people would pick the blue button over the red button. However, there's no real way for me to properly see who's pressing the blue button, where they come from, where they're based in, or where those people live. Hell, they could all be from the United States, or they could all be from some small island in the Caribbean, from all we know. There's no way to tell how old these people are as well, and who they are, so I can't really rightfully verify the demographic or what demographic is taking the poll. For two, it's also like a very small sample size. Now, it's not small in like the realm of Twitter. I mean, it got around like 300,000 responses for all we know. But the way this question is asked, the red button, blue button problem, is that everyone is taking the vote, which is everybody from a bunch of different demographics. But listen to me when I say this, I don't think that more than 50% of people in the world would choose blue. There are a lot of selfish people in this world from all different parts of the world, from South America, North America, Europe, Antarctica. A lot of people are selfish, and I think the majority of people are being selfish will kill the blue button people. That is the reason why I'm pressing the red button, because I know that more people are going to press the red button, and I want to live, personally speaking. I would bet almost everything that I have that the red button would get more votes than the blue button. Half of them niggas who voted blue button in the original Twitter problem, I think are faking. I don't think in that specific scenario, they would actually pick the blue button over the red button. Now, the second argument is that you are killing people by pressing the red button. This is going to allude on to something else, but I don't think that at all. I'm not killing anybody by pressing the red button, because in reality, pressing the red button doesn't really do anything. You can't necessarily hurt or condemn anyone to do anything because it doesn't do anything. It's not saying anything in the question where, oh, if you press the red button, you're condemning the blue people to die. No, the red button is just a selfish way to say, I don't want to participate. Now, is that inherently selfish to press the red button? Yes, I think it is, but I don't care. I want to get out of here alive. But I'm not condemning or killing anybody by pressing the red button because I'm refusing to participate in the problem. If you are pressing the blue button, you are inherently putting yourself at risk of dying. If you don't want to die or you don't want to risk anyone dying, don't press the blue button. The third argument is the most interesting one in my opinion because it's arguably the hardest one for me to argue against because of, well, simply put, It's very true. Most people don't have proper reading comprehension skills, and when people say this, they're mostly talking about like children or the very, very elderly people. Now, my argument against that is that elderly people and children don't make up the majority of the population. They only make up to about 40% of the population. If you want to highball that everybody in the world is, that every single elderly person or every single child is like really, really stupid or has really poor reading and comprehension skills, that is still only making up 40% of the population, and therefore would still not have the majority of people that vote in the conversation, or that are voting as blue on accident, quote unquote. And that's me like very, very like highballing it. You can be like, oh, 50% of elderly people have good comprehension skills, or 50% of young people have good reading comprehension skills. Certain of those people have special needs, etc., etc., etc. You can take this in like very like literal terms, or very, you can take this in almost any which way you want. But what I'm getting at here though is that children and elderly people are very, very much the minority in this problem, which makes it hard for me to press the blue button, for the simple fact that if all those people were to press the blue button, then simply put, they still wouldn't win the poll because they need 50% or more people. So even if you are highballing that every single illiterate person is picking blue, all the legally illiterate or people that just simply put have like little to no reading comprehension skills still make up a minority of people. Therefore, they still wouldn't get all the proper votes, or all the proper votes to save people that press blue. Now, the very compassionate people can very much push the 40% people above the threshold to get it to 50% or more people choose the blue button. I don't know, to be honest, because like I said, I do think there's a lot more selfish people than compassionate people in the world. That's why, again, I'm pressing the red button. And then at that point, it also becomes a problem of ethics of, do you think someone who has poor reading comprehension should die over a simple question as this? And I don't think so. But the problem with that is that it doesn't really matter if what we think, if we're not the majority of people, which we're really not the majority of people. There are the majority of people that press the red button that don't care at all about what the blue button press. I'm not one of those people. I want to see the blue button people win and succeed, but I don't think they will. That's why I'm pressing the red button. And the final question that I've seen for people pressing the blue button over the red button is, what if your friends or close family members choose blue? I don't know. Again, I don't know why they would choose blue, because all the close people I know that I've asked this question, they're choosing red. I've done like a close proximity of like asking 25 of the closest people I know on what they choose. They're choosing the red button. 9 times out of 10, they're choosing the red button. It's not really going to affect me all that much. I remember doing my research for this question, and someone wrote a comment that pretty accurately depicted my exact feelings on this question. This hypothetical was designed to see who would blindly follow a bad decision if it was based as morally superior, or it was framed as morally superior. And this is also going to add on to what else I was talking about. In totality, when you're pressing the blue button, all it does is cause problems. Picking the red button, like I said earlier, it doesn't do anything. You're not actively inflicting pain on another person. You're not actively killing people. Only the blue button has the power to inflict harm on others. The problem that exists here only exists because people chose the blue button. If people read the question properly, which you should, you would know that the blue button is the incorrect option 10 times out of 10. Now, let me preference this by saying this. I don't want to press the red button because I wish that more people are compassionate in the world, but I know that more people are not compassionate than selfish people are in the world. That is why I am pressing the red button. I am selfish in thinking this, yes, but I know that there are more selfish people in the world, and that is why I'm pressing the red button, because I know that the majority of people that exist on the world are selfish. But anyways, this is just my input on this matter. I was really interested in the discourse this question followed, and seeing all the different angles where people press this issue on, or why people pressed a certain button over the other. And I don't think either button is wrong, mind you. Like I said, I pressed the red button for my personal reasons, but I could see anyone pressing the red button for a multitude of reasons. And the same way I could see how many people would press the blue button for a multitude of reasons. I'm just not pressing it because, like I said, I think that there are more selfish people in the world. But I could see other opinions on why people would pick the blue button over the red button, or the red button over the blue button, because I think this is a very layered and diverse question. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys take care.